Michigan, long considered the beating heart of America's car industry, is facing a strain it hasn't seen in decades. Production lines are slowing, corporate earnings are plunging, and the aftershocks of sweeping tariffs are rippling through every corner of the state. In the latest quarter alone, General Motors posted a $1 billion drop in profits. Stellantis, the parent company of Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge, reported a staggering $2.7 billion loss in just the first half of 2025. Analysts caution that Ford could soon deliver similar grim results. And nearly all of it can be traced back to one policy: tariffs. President Donald Trump defends these tariffs as a way to bring jobs and production back to U.S. soil. But here in Michigan, and in auto towns nationwide, the debate has shifted to a harder question. Are tariffs reinforcing American industry or undermining its very foundation? Help us hit 10,000 subscribers, 2,000 likes, and 1,000 comments. Drop your thoughts below and we'll pin the best one to the top. For decades, Detroit's big three automakers have depended on an intricate supply network stretching across North America, Europe, and Asia. A vehicle labeled Made in America still requires dozens of parts manufactured overseas, everything from high-strength steel beams to the computer chips inside its dashboards. But as of June 2025, that system has been jolted. Imported steel and aluminum, the backbone of vehicles from frames to engine blocks, now carry a 50% duty. Canada, the U.S.'s largest aluminum source, faces a 35% tariff on non-USMCA goods starting August 1st. Mexico has been granted a 90-day grace period before 50% tariffs on its parts kick in, but the clock is ticking. India's automotive component exports are hit with 50% duties. Even leather, textiles, and upholstery from Asia are no longer exempt. The Center for Automotive Research estimates that tariffs on autos and components could tack on $18 billion in costs in 2025 alone, before factoring in the ballooning price of steel and aluminum. The Alliance for Automotive Innovation warns that consumers will inevitably foot the bill. Electric vehicle manufacturers are under particular pressure. The U.S. still lacks large-scale domestic battery production, meaning foreign imports remain unavoidable. Every one of those battery packs is now subject to steep duties, pushing up costs on vehicles meant to symbolize America's clean energy future. So far, automakers have shouldered these extra expenses to protect buyers from price hikes. But earnings reports are painting a different picture. Executives caution they can't shield consumers forever. Steeper sticker prices are inevitable. Michigan lives and dies by the auto industry. Over 1 million American jobs are tied to it, with Michigan carrying the heaviest share. Any slowdown has a chain reaction, from factory workers to suppliers to the diners and local shops that serve them. Already the fallout is visible. GM's $1 billion quarterly loss. Stellantis down $2.7 billion in half a year. Ford's pending results, with forecasts signaling steep losses. Suppliers are equally squeezed. Many U.S. suppliers rely on imported metals and parts that are now taxed before they even reach American soil. That cost cascades through every link in the chain. If these trends persist, analysts project Michigan could see tens of thousands of jobs vanish over the next 3 years. And it's not just assembly lines. Tariffs are weighing on every layer of the industry: car interiors, high-performance metals, even niche parts with no U.S. equivalent. Domestic-made vehicles are still dependent on foreign inputs that simply can't be replaced overnight. But while Michigan bears the immediate pain, two global players, Canada and China, are responding in ways that could alter trade for decades. And they're not playing the tariff for tariff game. Instead, they're targeting U.S. weak spots: energy security, critical minerals, and advanced manufacturing inputs. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has signaled Ottawa won't be pressured into concessions. Rather than mirror U.S. tariffs, Canada is fortifying long-term economic resilience. That means deepening ties with Mexico, diversifying exports, and investing in industries the world can't ignore. One of those is energy. The U.S. depends on Canadian oil and gas, importing millions of barrels daily. Tariffing that flow would spike U.S. energy prices, an outcome Washington can't afford. This leverage gives Canada breathing space. The second pillar is minerals. Canada holds immense deposits of lithium, nickel, cobalt, copper, and rare earths. The raw materials that power EV batteries, military tech, renewable energy systems, and AI hardware. In 2023, Canadian mineral output topped 70 billion Canadian dollars, but much of it remains untapped. Less than half of current refining capacity is Canadian-owned. Carney's government wants to change that. A sweeping new policy, the One Canadian Economy Act, Bill C-5, accelerates mine approvals, builds refining capacity, and reduces reliance on Chinese processing. Companies like Electrova, already exporting advanced lithium-ion batteries to Japan and the US, are early proof of a mineral-driven industrial revival. China, meanwhile, is taking a different path, pressuring US access to advanced manufacturing materials. Beijing controls 60 to 70% of global rare earth mining and nearly 90% of refining. Since late 2024, it has tightened exports of minerals critical for defense. High-temperature magnets for jet engines, specialty alloys for weapon systems, and more. The fallout has been immediate. U.S. defense contractors face delays and surging costs. Tesla and Ford have suffered production snags. Suzuki had to shutter an entire plant. At the same time, China has insulated itself from vulnerabilities in energy. By ramping up renewables, expanding EV adoption, and drawing on sanctioned oil flows from Russia, Iran, and Venezuela, over 2.5 million barrels per day in 2024 alone, Beijing has turned a past weakness into a shield against U.S. sanctions. The strategies couldn't be more different. Trump is betting on short-term pressure, making it costlier to resist than to comply. Carney is playing the long game, strengthening Canada's industrial backbone before cutting any deals. China is moving slower still, restructuring supply chains so that the next trade war lands softer at home and harder abroad. Neither Canada nor China is engaging in a tit-for-tat tariff war. Instead, they're exploiting vulnerabilities that tariffs alone can't fix. U.S. dependence on foreign energy, minerals, and high-tech inputs. For Washington, that means fighting battles on multiple fronts while struggling to keep domestic industries afloat. As of August 1st, U.S. tariffs on Canadian goods outside USMCA jumped from 25% to 35%. Canada has declined to retaliate directly, focusing instead on building internal strength. Meanwhile, the Pentagon has pumped $500 million into rare earth projects, $400 million of that to MP materials. But even supporters admit building a competitive supply chain will take years. In the meantime, Ottawa's hand is getting stronger. Beijing's quiet maneuvering is reshaping global trade balance. And in Michigan, the stakes are clear. 5 years from now, America's auto plants could be humming again, or the nation's industrial heartland could be staring at another painful era of decline. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Help us hit 10,000 subscribers, 2,000 likes, and 1,000 comments. And remember, the best comment gets pinned at the very top.